Hi there. I've been working on improving my caning skills and wanted to show you some tips that I've learned along the way. So I designed this cane using the cane designer in my Playbox app. I'm going to do another short video to show you how I did that in the app. Once you've chosen your design, you can download this sheet that will show you the steps needed to create the cane. So my first tip is to use contrasting colors with your canes. Particularly with smaller canes, the more you reduce a cane and the smaller it gets, the more you need a contrasting color for it to still pop. The white clay that I'm using is very fresh. I just bought it and it's extremely soft, whereas the blue clay, as I've had for a couple of years, been sitting around. So I have mixed the ultramarine blue with some clay softener so that both colors are similar in softness. I'm just forming this into an equilateral triangle. It's about, it's almost 2 inches on each side. I can't tell you how many times I have cut my canes badly. If you end up with one large bit, one small bit, one thin bit, one thick bit, it really does affect the quality of the finished cane. So you can see here that I'm marking first before I start cutting. And this white is rolled to about 3 millimeters thick. I don't want it too thin because if I make the white pieces too thin, then when I reduce them, they will not show up as nicely. So I wanted to go with some thick lines here. So I'm just inserting them into the spots where I've cut, and I decided to do the ones that went across first because I found otherwise it was hard to keep them symmetrical. Easier to do these cross pieces, and then once I've done those, cut straight down the middle and do the middle part. And then it's a little hard to see on the printout, but there are 2 little white corners on these canes and they turn into little stars. And there you are. That's step number 1. So that's an equilateral triangle, and what I'm going to do now is reduce it. And so I'm just reducing it and keeping it the same triangle shape. So now I have something a little bit longer. I'm going to go to step number 2, which is reforming it into a right angle triangle. And I'm basically just trying to make it look like that picture in step number 2. And once I've got it looking like the picture in step number 2, I'm going to cut this into half. And then I'm working on step number 3 now. So I'm going to try and fit those right angle triangles together to make half of that square. And you can see that I haven't quite formed it properly. So now I'm just going to kind of reform it into the correct shape and cut it in half again. And there we have the basic cane. It looks kind of similar. And now I'm just going to reduce it again because I want to see that full pattern that we had. In the beginning, this pattern here, I wanted to see if I could put it together to look like that. Well, one of the difficulties I've always had is cutting even slices of my canes. And when you're trying to put together a kaleidoscope type cane like this, it's really important that all the slices are even sizes. if they're not, when you smooth it out, they'll all get distorted. So I'm using these cane markers that I've made. I think I'm using the 3mm one here to help me cut even slices. So you can see here as I put this together that I haven't made the corners of this cane sharp enough. So as I put it together, it's fitting together quite nicely, but there are holes in the corners of each slice of cane. And as I smooth this out with some paper, you can see that the clay will fill into those corners and get a little bit distorted in the middle there. But actually, I'm not unhappy with this. And I'm just going to reduce it a little more and put it together. And I like it a lot better as a smaller cane. It's not as easy to see some of the distortion, but I think actually it's bold enough that you could make a smaller cane. It still looks great. Really pleased with that. Anyway, I hope that was helpful to you. I'm definitely not a caning expert, but I have been trying and practicing, and I wanted to share my thoughts with you. I hope that was helpful.